on your cell phone or your phone. It's only set up for one time. Okay, to make sure that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to be in the paper anymore.
All right, does anyone wish to make a motion now? All right, let me explain something. All right, normally I know we talk and then we do this motion, okay? Mr. Witt has suggested that we make the motion, you second it, you talk about it, and then you vote on it. So that doesn't mean that you're set with what you said. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Education authorize the implementation of Superintendent Silverstein's contingency plan as presented to the Board of Education, including the following. 1, that students not be returned to Midland Elementary School for the remainder of the 2015-16 school year. 2, that a construction fence with appropriate signage be rented and installed around the Midland Elementary School to prevent children from accessing areas in the vicinity of the building's doors and windows. 3, that children in grade 5 be transferred to Middle High School and housed there in a wing of the building dedicated to that purpose. 4, that children in grades pre-K through 4 be transferred to Midland Middle School and housed there in a wing of the building dedicated to that purpose. 5, that the administration work with the school district architect to modify a room at Midland High School to house children in grade pre-K in compliance with the Health Life Safety Code. And number 6, that the administration solicit a proposal to lease portable classrooms to house students in grades pre-K through 5 for further consideration by the Board of Education.
Is there a second to that motion?
I will second.
Discussion. Let's go ahead.
I'll go first. So I have a few questions, and some of these will echo some of the comments made earlier. The one question that was raised about the fire marshal in general, and I don't know all of the protocol with that, but is there an assessment that needs to be done by a fire marshal or anyone of that authority that has it?
I think it's important as you change plans that we get the local fire department involved. Working with the architect, he'll meet the code requirements, but as those crisis plans are brought forth, I think it's important to make sure we get them on board and do a walkthrough. Certainly something would help to see the locations.
So that didn't entirely answer my question. I guess, is there a code and is it required? Other than it being a good idea, I mean, it's something that, is it required?
You mean to have a plan?
Yeah, more of a plan, but is there, I'm not going to say that I understand all the codes that are there. Is there a code that says, well, students that are going to be this many people, or occupancy, or any of those things, and are they being addressed?
So for areas that if trailers are brought in, there are processes. I'm looking at a new piece of construction, but there's an occupancy permit process where the architect has to leave assurances and work with those correct individuals to make sure that the space meets requirements. So certainly, your architect's going to be looking because the fire marshal walking through is not normally a requirement that I'm aware of.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about pockets, I'm talking about occupancy.
The total number of students, I think.
Exactly. Making sure, like you said, proper egress to go in and out of classrooms, not just for drills, but for actual things.
I can know there to be studies with the forward action of this plan to make sure that all the door widths are met, that traffic distances are met, everything like that, so to ensure that they be told that kids can get out efficiently as required by code.
Okay. And all, if there's any other things, of course, that would be prior to.
And just I guess just to kind of elaborate on this, your district has really not good school class sizes, small school class sizes. We're not putting the kids in classes. They're actually going into previous classrooms that were previously designed as classrooms. actual occupancy of 4 classrooms in the gym space is well under the occupant load that space is required for. So we're going to run all the numbers, which will be publicly available to be viewed when they get submitted to the district. But I'm very confident they're going to be well fit within the parameters dictated by code.
Okay, thanks. I had a question about, also about the lead paint vector and the soil that was brought up. And I heard anecdotally on the news yesterday, so I have no idea how true it is, but that this area within the United States in general is privy to higher amounts of lead than any other part of the country. Does that lend its hand to any of these sampling that you're finding in the soil?
I don't have all that information as to where they come. The Midland area, St. Louis is a higher that has high lead concentrations, and to this surrounding rural area, I don't know if the public health department does soil testing or anything like that in the community or surrounding. I can comment on it, but I don't have that information in front of me. I mean, you can go to, like the EPA's website, and each region will have their own, and they'll give you based on so many surveys that were done so many years ago, this is what the percentage is for this area versus that. But to say what you have in this surrounding area, I do not know.
Okay, so there's nothing like that that's taken into account when you do the soil sample, strictly just because you saw the chips down, right?
It's part of the process of a risk assessment. Soil, because you're in contact with it, if there's ancient things on there, you test it to make sure that it meets the standards of contamination or non-contamination based by the regulatory agencies.
All right. Let's see what's going on. Question about bringing in, I really like the idea that someone had about bringing in parents. If there's a move here that happens, I think it's a fantastic idea. At the same token, is it possible to also have other groups help in the move, maybe not the removal, but the setup in the new areas? For instance, if the National Honor Society or anybody else wants to help set up classrooms, other teachers have their own kids help set up classrooms?
Certainly, I want to comment that the district would be grateful to have help from the community to facilitate this move. But please keep in mind, any equipment that we remove from the elementary building will have to be cleaned prior to entering the middle school. To answer your question, as far as contractors and vendors will be bringing in equipment to facilitate it. One example is for the gym area, we've already been in contact with an office company to bring in partitions. So as soon as those are in place, we'll take the desks out of the elementary school, desanitize them, and then after that's done, move them into the gym area and the other classrooms.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look at this. What about aftercare? Do you have anything, we consider anything with respect to aftercare at all?
No, I haven't.
So that's something we'll have to consider here.
We have. That our team has, evidently, the teachers. Thank you very much.
I have a note that somebody put on here. I'm sorry, I don't know who put it. I don't know exactly what it means that it's on this piece of paper. It says, how about using code red for words? I don't know what that means.
Mr. Gallus, here, there he is. You want to come up and explain that?
Of a Henry Gowitz. I live in Lincoln, 1317 4th Street. Everybody that hates me already knows where I live, Bernie, so you too, yeah. Know what it is it's a service that was implemented that has got everybody's cell phone number that put in and all the your regular house numbers workers, so that, yeah, like the fire chief, the sheriff, that sort of stuff, if there's some sort of emergency alert or that sort of thing, they can program that in to the areas that need be, and it will flash out an alert, and it could do that. So if you're having a little trouble with your all-call, you could probably talk to some individuals and shoot it out and make sure you got pretty well everybody with that other service.
I'll look into it.
So, one thing that I want to make clear, that I think that going forward, and this is what the side is that we do need to make sure going forward that we do have an adequate maintenance plan, of course. And I think to make it as public as we can, folks, to be able to see. I'm not going to point fingers or doing that. I said the one thing that I want to assure folks that has come to light in this about many other things is ensuring that we do and publicly make sure that folks are aware that there is an adequate maintenance plan that is in place going forward. So that's just kind of a sidebar, because I know there's a lot of questions around blame. I don't want to assess any blame here. We don't have time for that. We have to fix the problem. So that's just one thing I want to address, that voices are heard loud and clear that that's something we need.
May I interject on that?
Yeah.
I just want the community to know that through our law firm, Witt Law, we have applied for $1.4 million in qualified school construction grants. And that $1.4 million is to make all repairs in this building and the middle school. If we are not given the authority to issue those grants, then the district will have to make a decision to issue those as life safety bonds to make life safety repairs. And that is the plan as we sit here today.
I just wanted to tag on to something that Jason said. I would rather us as a board be proactive instead of reactive to mitigate these types of things. And I think that going forward, having strong maintenance plans in place to ensure that our children are safe and our parents are comfortable with sending their children and they're not concerned with the risk that they would face sending them here. I would just like to see us be more proactive in that area.
And I guess the one last thing that I want to say is I would be completely for having an additional risk assessment done in the school as well. Given the circumstances,
Well, excuse me just a second, but during the last walkthrough of the middle school by the ROE, was there any problem areas found? What was done with them?
Last year.
Last year's.
This year's was just done.
Yes, yours.
Okay, but last year there were no problems? Okay, and this year?
Chris, will answer that.
I know your district has a report as far as the middle school. Your violations, areas that recommendations to fix. Hold open devices not being used when rooms are unoccupied by students. Deadbolt locks on cafeteria and gymnasium doors and heat exiting the hallways need to be made inoperable. Emergency lights need installed in shop or repaired small shop or small gym. Fire detectors needed in mezzanine air handler room. Full station room 197 needs repairs. 24-inch clearance needed from all storage areas from ceilings up top of shelves. Repair stain tiles throughout building, determine if roof repairs needed. Recommendation for general housekeeping, and there's areas that are listed there. Architect should also look at exterior wall in room 190. Those are the findings for the middle school.
Anything else? Stephanie, anything else?
But we're going to look at these, right? Correct, as they came
We've
in.
already started, yes. We have
Okay, okay. Did everybody hear that? It is no.
190 is being fixed.
So I heard water damage, so wouldn't
There's
that?
not numbers outside, and you talk to the architect, here's that works. With our walkthrough, the report is issued, the school district has 30 days to remedy those issues. If additional time is needed, they ask for such. Sometimes it takes longer to get work done, but the kid was walking through is making sure.
So I heard leaky roof, then we didn't do a mold test in the middle school either, right? So
There was no mold test.
okay, but leaky roof, usually wet environment equals mold,
And it was
so.
asked of the district, take a look at that.
So we need to do the mold and the lead test in that school, right?
That's up to the district to pursue.
That's what I'm saying before my kids go there.
How can you send kids there if you don't know it's safe?
With a leaky roof and mold, I've wondered why my son's had allergies all this year, and I think now that mold has been found in the school, that's contributing to that. So I think we do, if we truly believe safety, then we do a test for mold and lead in that school before we move our kids there. If not, I'll start talking to private schools to see if we can move them there.
It shouldn't be an issue
It
though.
should not be, it shouldn't be a debate. It should be done.
100%, yeah, across the board.
No
You're for our
question.
kids' safety.
We have to look at how much this is going to cost us. and I know-
Safety, you can't put a number on safety.
How can you put, you can put a price on
You know
our
how
kids'
much it
health?
costs in litigation if you guys just turn a blind eye?
I really think that we should look into those issues, because right now we're saying that the elementary school is completely unsafe for this, this, and this. I don't want to spend the taxpayers' money in a bad way, but to me, this isn't a good way to ensure all of our parents, our children, they're all safe. And I don't think
Litigation's
any
much more
disrespect.
costly.
Oh, yeah, lawsuits cost you a lot
Litigation's
more.
much more costly than doing the test.
I just think we should be proactive again instead of reactive.
It's for us to get results back, and really the greatest idea would be to put it at 36 hours.
So that, I only heard part of what.
Send a swipe test.
How soon? The term, what's the lab handle? Typically, I can rush them, and we can get them, depending on how many you send by the, possibly by the end of the day. So, I mean, if by chance you got in there, say tomorrow, possibly close, end of day, Monday, first thing Tuesday, we can have.
Good enough for me.
And we'll even help you move. They'll help you to save cost on moving.
Because you don't know what that cost is.
Monday, close of business, first thing Tuesday morning, I can contact the lab and find out exactly what the best turnout time is. Yeah, I think I can be there first thing tomorrow and start with the testing.
I'd be in favor of that, because then all it does is it gives us assurance that everything is cost-effective. Helps us just that one less stuff, otherwise they're always with that question, they're afraid to write it to their lines. I think it's, personally, I think it's worth spending the little, really, in this case, a little extra money. I think we can still move at the same time that we're testing, and if we're right, we can make sure that everybody, yes, we did our due diligence, the children are safe, we're good to go. And heaven forbid, what if we find out there's something wrong then?
No, I support that, but I just want to clarify, I'm not sure, can we, is this why we're asking, can we perform a little bit of safety?
I would do the blood testing
Yeah.
before you moved everything over there. I mean, you mean, can't you start moving the stuff over there before the results are in?
I'm just trying to say realistically.
Realistically, you can. If I take it up. And I was talking about that.
School, if you still do the swipe test and the students in school for realistic goals and everything, and this test we really not safe.
Find out, if we can get that. Can you move stuff over there? You just can't get the results come back, God forbid that there is something over there, then you just move stuff into an area that will have to be cleaned again. I mean, along those lines. So, I mean, as to whether or not.
It's a bigger problem than that,
Yes.
that's the case, right?
Yes, actually.
So, in this case, we can have this light done, we can keep it on the same schedule, and just take the results to assure that we're good.
I gotta start getting schematic.
So is there any way we have to make a separate vote to do that, or we have to make this motion, or is that a separate? We have
We can do two separate motions. So make that a separate. Well, it depends on how extensively you do that, so. I don't know.
You don't know what the money is. I just spent the taxpayers' money, but I have no idea how much.
Bear in mind the fact that at the request of the regional superintendent, Ideal Environmental Engineering and came in and did a spot check for the elementary school. And then, with the findings of the spot check, the board on Saturday night directed it to examination of the entire building, every room. And so that's a different, deeper cost.
Right, I just mean, I should know what the costs are. People worry about money.
I gave a budget estimate based on time and material, time that we were out there.
Ballpark.
The environmental rates, I believe my cost, just quote me on that, it was like 95 an hour plus $30 per sample. That was done. So the question is, for the other schools, are we doing a full building? Are you doing a full building assessment, or are you coming in and doing, you know?
I personally would be fine with this spot check, I think, it'll give us a good enough advantage of what we have.
Yeah, I think that check should be fine.
Yeah, if the swipe tested, if you can get those back as soon as you can. Can we, all right, are we ready to vote on the motion? Not the check, but the 1P6 that we have here? Yeah.
Tuesday,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Campbell, Weber, Hyman. Yes. Kendall.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Can I make a motion to have Ideal come in and spot check the middle school? And are they doing the middle school only or the high school level? I was just saying middle school.
Let's do the middle school.
I'd like to make a motion then officially to have Ideal come in and do a spot check on the middle school.
I'll second that motion.
Any other questions, discussions on it? Roll call?
Yes.
Campbell. Stickle.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Townsend.
Yes.
And Webb.
Any other business news? Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make the motion for adjournment.
Second.